So today I'm going to talk about iPetGoat 2 and my understanding of it. Obviously, anybody who watches it is going to have their own take on what it means, right? But if you know me, you know that I am possessed. There are many demons inside of me. Demon spirits, right? And these things influence the way I think, okay? They don't take control over my body, make me kill people or anything, but they do influence the way I think. That's the only way I can really put it. So from my point of view on this, okay, you have to understand certain things that are not in the video. If you have not esoteric knowledge of certain things, then you can have a better understanding of what the video is actually showing you. So, first of all, the guy that made it, okay, the guy that made the video, is not just a computer graphics engineer. He's an epigeneticist. Meaning he's a scientist that works on epigenetics, which is the study of how your brain reads your DNA in each cell, okay? So, right off the bat, the guy that made the video, right, has a different job. Now, if you know about messenger RNA technology, then you'll know that that is epigenetics, right? That the technology makes your cells create foreign proteins, right? So then your body then views these cells as broken or corrupted. These cells are producing damaging material, so your body is going to destroy those cells. And if you look more into that, then you'll understand why so many people are having heart attacks. Well, cells replicate, right? You go through mitosis, so the cell, before it's dead, it copies itself. Well, your heart doesn't do that. Your heart just scars over. If cells get messed up in your heart, they just stay messed up. They harden, it's permanent. That damage is permanent. It's like scarring your skin, right? Deep enough cut, it's not gonna heal, right? So if you know about that, right, and you know what's kind of going on that nobody's talking about, right? The big elephant in the room for the last 3 years, right? He worked on that. There's no proof, there's no way to actually physically link this individual to that specific thing that was created, but when you view iPetGoat 2, you get this eerie feeling, right? Almost like whatever the video is about, it's the most important thing in the world, right? Subconsciously, as you view this video, you feel that way. And I know it's not just me. It's everybody I've ever asked about it after they watched it. So first of all, in Montreal, okay, back in the day, Montreal is filled with demon worshippers, okay? If you're rich and you have influence and power and you live in Montreal between the 1920s till now, you're a demon worshipper. You get your power from the source. There's tons of cults up there, right? I mean, if you look up the name Roger Morneau, you'll find his videos, and he goes into detail about the one he was in, and got out of. And you know, you could believe him or not. That's not really my point. My point is that this guy is most likely in one of these cults. Okay, it's just like the Freemasonic order. It's no different. Okay, but the only difference is with Freemasons, most Freemasons don't understand that they're demon worshippers. But these other groups, right, the group that this guy's most likely a part of, they do understand. They pray directly to them by their names and everything, and they do get results. So more than likely, this guy that created the video, iPetGoat2, he not just worked on the mRNA technology, but he worked on it so much that he had to be the one to tell the world about it, right? Because when you're part of these groups, you don't even have to be part of these groups, right? You can just be part of, like, you know, Jewish Kabbalah, right? Like, there's certain things you gotta say it out loud before you do it, or else you're not going to be absolved of that sin, right? So almost like if you literally worship Satan, or you worship any of the demons, Belial, any of them, like, you know that it's real. Right? like it's real. So they gotta do shit, right? Like, you gotta make if you're doing something to the public, you gotta make it publicly known beforehand. And this is how they do it. It doesn't have to be directly said with words, as long as the message is conveyed, right? And doesn't even mean that the people in the public have to understand the message. It just has to be said, right? So if you understand the timeline of things like I do, then you'll know that the 1,000-year reign of Christ ended in, you know, and it was like 777. So that's when it started, and then it ended in 1776, right? So Satan was loosed during the start of America, right? So when you understand that, then you understand that America was created specifically to be a sacrifice, to be built up so high that it'll fall down and crush everything, right? So the four horsemen of the apocalypse happens before the Antichrist comes and saves the day, right? The four horsemen of the apocalypse are American presidents, because they have power and they're in control of Mystery Babylon as it's about to be burned to the ground, right? Like, so that means that it is literally, well, when you think about it, then it would be, in the video it shows George Bush, right? And it's showing him in the setting of reading the children the book My Pet Goat, right? There's no coincidence, like, it's not just a coincidence, okay? The title My Pet Goat, okay, that's talking about the Baphomet, right? That's what like, why you think it's about a goat, right? Like, the goats, right? Like, I mean, it's about rounding up the goats, giving them the mark. The fact that it's iPetGoat2, it's the title itself is stating that the My Pet Goat event that happened, I think you know what I'm talking about, 9/11, that was the first attack on its own people, right? And then iPetGoat2 is the second attack on its own people, right? Like, I'm talking about the world attacking the world. You don't necessarily have to call it America or Babylon or whatever. It's just in this reality, that's what's happening, right? The government turned on us back in 2001, and they're doing it again now, right? So it shows then, okay, so George Bush turns into Barack Obama, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's just a changing of presidents in that order. Okay, it meant something else. Okay, so if you go into as much research as I have, you'll realize that George W. Bush is not a human being at all, and is not a reptilian devil either. It's almost like he doesn't exist. It's like he's there, but he's not there, right? Like, and Obama is very much similar. You could see through him if you're far enough away, right? You can see through his hands and shit like that, and part of his head. But I think it's talking about when Obama takes power is when the plan starts. Alright, so it's like almost like a little riddle, right? With the four horsemen of the apocalypse, right? Because it talks about the first horseman also being the fourth, but he comes back dead, right? And once he is the fourth, right, he is able to kill with sword, with famine, and with death, right? So when you examine that more closely and you understand that this started with Barack Obama, right? I mean, you can look way more into that whole thing about the four horsemen, but that is how it is, and that's how I understand it 100%. Okay, the 9/11 thing happened, okay, and then that massive twin sacrifice opened a door in the Pentagon pentagram building. It opened a door in the pentagram, and you know who walked through, right? So that's that, right? That's why there's no plane explosion at the Pentagon. There's no, you know, it's just, there's just an explosion at the wall, right? It was just part of it. So Barack Obama comes, he's the first horseman, right? He lays down the work, right? He lays down the blueprint for the others, right? So he picks Donald Trump to be the second horseman of the apocalypse, right? With the red hat, right? Causing civil war, right? Causing confusion. And then he picks the third horseman, right? Which brings in the famine, the one on the black horse, right? The one that raises the price of everything and lowers the yield of everything. So, and then it says the fourth horseman comes and is able to kill with sword, with famine, and with death, right? So killing with sword, he was able to do as first horseman, and he continued that through the second horseman's power and through the third, and he will continue once he's fourth. But the famine, that's directly caused by the third horseman's reign, right? And the death, that's directly caused by the second horseman's reign, right? If you know what the death is, it's what we're talking about. It's what I Pet Goat 2 is about. It's about the death. The death that kills is the mRNA, right? It's the black goo. It's what they're pulling out of Antarctica. So yeah, so when Barack Obama becomes the fourth horseman, right, he gains power over America again after Biden here, and then he's able to kill with all the things that he set up from the beginning, right? You gotta understand that he's been in power the whole time, right? The first horseman is the conqueror. He picks who the other horsemen are going to be behind him. He sets everything up, right? And he did. And when he was president, you can see all the people that were there at the White House with him, all the celebrities and all of them. They're all in on it. Every single one of those heads. Like, you can go back. You can look at my videos. I made videos about that a long time ago, you know? Like, anyway, so it shows Barack Obama, and he's, you know, evil, right? Like chuckling to himself with a nasty grin as if he's planning something evil. That's what it shows you. And then it shows you the dragon with the brain split in half by the lightning. Now, the dragon is Satan, right? And when Satan comes down, he comes down as lightning from heaven, right? So where's he going to sit? When Satan comes down, he sits in the temple of God, which is right there. Okay? So it shows... I'm just going to keep talking, because I know I sound insane, but like, if you keep up, you can understand what I'm saying. Okay, so you got these demon worshippers making this concoction, right? And this concoction is going to really mess up the Antichrist, right? It makes him become the Antichrist, and that's what it's showing you in the video, right? So the world's, you know, going to shit, going to hell in a handbasket, and it shows you that throughout the whole video, right? It shows you the workers getting buried in their own work, the tanks, you know, everything. It shows you everything. It's just, okay, so it shows you Osama bin Laden, right? Now, that guy doesn't actually exist. I don't think he ever really did. It was probably just Obama in disguise on video. Either way, it doesn't matter. Even if he did exist, he was working for the CIA, right? So, I mean, either directly or indirectly, it shows that. He is wearing a CIA badge right there, right? And he's got black wings on his back because he's literally a fallen angel, right? Like, it's Barack Obama. It's not, you know, some Arabic guy out in the Middle East, you know, with a bunch of crazy weapons. Like, no. So it shows him with an army of people behind him, and those people have triangular shaped heads, right? So, but my point is, he's standing in Antarctica, like, he's there on the snow in front of the fucking waters, right? And he's puts his arms out like he's praying. He's doing a ritual, right? And then in the very far back, you can see what looks like oil drills, drilling oil out of the ice, right? Now, this is where it gets a little weird. Now, going off of, getting back out of iPet Goat 2, right? If you look in the book of Enoch, if you read that, or if you have read that, you'll understand that there is one angel that is way bigger than all the rest of them. And that's Azazel, right? And it like, the book of Enoch gives very descriptive information about him and where he's at, where God had him buried and everything. And literally, you could see it. You could see him. You see his giant face. Okay, he's giant. He's a giant angel. He's about 80 kilometers tall. So his face is about 14 kilometers from the chin to the horns, and you can see him on Google Earth. And back in 2016, all the leaders of the world went there. If any of you remember that, it was either 2015 or 2016. I'm almost positive it was 16. Like, you know, even the religious leaders of the world. The Pope went there. The, you know, Russian Orthodox guy is you know, all of it. So they all went there, right, to see something.